how to get the right outcome from sales meetings. Let me just go here. There we go. So let's start with the structure of meetings and that process of the flow of meetings in a simplistic sense. Remembering that I've only got 50 minutes, I'm going to really just blitz through this, and it's just purely a transfer of knowledge, and then you can ask questions at the end. So the basic stages of a complex sales process. Okay, so I know basic and complex, but this is how simple. So you've got your unqualified opportunity, which starts with an introductory meeting or a courtesy call, because sometimes we've done an introductory meeting and it doesn't go anywhere, and we end up with a courtesy call, and that courtesy call leads to an initial discovery. And in complex sales, you'll usually do an initial discovery because you want to decide whether I want to bid and I want to move forward with the sales process. And then stepping forward from there, you would step into a technical discovery, a deep discovery piece. You would go into pre-proposal, proposal, negotiation, and close. So you've got like a process there that sits within a traditional sales model that's semi-complex. I mean, it gets more complex, but that's your sort of base framework. You'll notice I put barbed wire there because there's so many traps within it, and there's so many issues and places for it to go wrong. Today we're going to focus on some of the things that do go wrong, and then how we can use questioning and listening skills to overcome those stages. Yeah. And so we break this down a little bit more. Introductory meeting, it's where it's where we meet people. We have these introductory conversations. We're not selling, right? We're getting to know each other. From there, you step into discovery. Discovery is where we're pulling information from the client in a technical sense, usually in an NDA. From there, we're collaborating with our clients. So we're looking at how to make sure we're on the same page. How do we interact? It might be a demo. It could be going through a document. It could be just showing your findings and recommendations from a discovery meeting. From there, we go into proposal phase, where again, it's broken into parts. And then we're closing, we're bringing clients in. So you've got your basic raw framework of a sales meeting there with definitions and outcomes. From there, where does a traditional sales process go wrong stage by stage? Well, the introductory meetings either talk too much, pitching too early, too much rapport, not enough rapport, don't find anything out about the client during the meeting, too heavy, all right, and too intense, it's too much, no next steps. But ultimately, the cardinal sin is demoing in the first meeting. That's a huge problem. It's really common. Virtually every business I meet spends 15 minutes talking about their product, and it's carnage. Because if you think about it logically, once the client knows what you do, how you do it, you're pushing them into decision-making process, because the client wants you to demo, the client wants you to talk about you so that they can say, do I want to move forward with you? Where we want to be is in control of the process. Discovery is the next piece. Where does it go wrong? Don't do discovery. I did an analysis of 100 cases in a pipeline, only 4 discoveries done in it. Don't ask any questions in this phase, or very little. Don't do the discovery with the right people. Yeah, right. So they do discovery, but actually they're not engaging the right stakeholders in the business. They're not taking notes. I mean, the amount of times I've done the analysis in CRM and the discovery notes are not there is, you'd be amazed. Yeah. No natural next steps. And again, they're stepping into demo too early. They're doing a demo in discovery, right? Which doesn't make any sense. Yeah? I mean, you just don't do that. And I know the client wants us to do that, but that's what you don't do. Next is collaboration. Well, people don't do collaboration meetings. They step from discovery into selling and to proposal, which puts them into negotiation too early. Yeah? There's a flow here that we need to be going through. Client doesn't give you feedback on where you think they are, right? No questions from the vendor, right? No next steps, yeah, right? No tailor demo. See, I want to do demo here. I want a tailor demo that fits the client, yeah, right? I don't want to be having a stock demo early when I don't know the client, I don't know their needs. If I'm selling ERP and I know this sounds like software, but the same goes whether I'm selling hardware or software or services. If we're pitching too early, it's a problem. And then proposal meetings. Sorry, my head's in the way here. But challenges, they send the proposal too early, and they're not discussing the proposal before they send it to the client. So I'll move over here. Not relevant, yeah, right? The proposal doesn't work. It's the same as everyone else's. Don't understand the values, and it's too long, yeah, right? You know, yeah, you see some of these proposals through a problem now. Also, when you think that another big challenge that people have is they try and do discovery in the introductory meeting. And that's an issue, you're right. You know, we want to pace this cadence. We want to get it right. See, if you look at this, you can start to see the pattern there in all of them. It all rotates around the questions, you know, the pitching, because I'm not asking questions, a demo because I'm not asking questions, you're not finding anything about the client, you know, not doing discovery with the right people, you know, collaboration, not the client's not giving you feedback. The only way you can get feedback is to ask the client for feedback, etc. Right? So questions hold all this together, and the tone of the questions and the structure of the questions is different. Yeah. So again, what's the goal of a good sales process? It's to help the client do what they do better. Now, I get it. For some people, it's to sell unconditionally. Yeah. But ultimately, that's the old-fashioned methodology. Clients are sophisticated now. They don't want to deal with someone that's going to push them into a product that makes them worse off than they were before. No one wants that, right? And you know, I had someone the other day say, I can sell to everyone. You can't, right? Because you might find that actually they've got the right thing and it works for them. Why would you do that? Yeah. So again, what is the goal? Look, first of all, build trust. How do we build trust? It takes time. Okay. We want to reach a point where they trust you. So it's not enough to build trust. We've got to get to a point where they go, yeah, actually, I trust you, right? You know, I mean, ultimately, we want them to trust you like you trust the product, like the product. I mean, it's where we want to get to. They want an aha moment, right? You know, when our client, when you're asking the right questions and the client has that moment when they go, yeah, I had it today, right? I was doing a discovery today and the client said, can I fix this? And how do I do that? And how do I go here, right? That's aha moment number one, yeah? And then we want more. Because as you ask these questions, that keeps happening, yeah, right? And more that happens in your meetings, the deeper your relationship is, because the client's going, well, actually, this person knows enough about this to give me the insight into I need to fix that. And they associate that with you, right? You know, that's the secret, right? You know, it's not about telling anyone anything. Yeah? So for me, questions are the solution. So why do questions work? Like, as you navigate through the sales process and asking the right questions with the right tone, you know, achieves different types of results during those meetings. Yeah, number one, it gets the client to think. It's much better that the client's thinking than they're listening to you. The client thinking is a totally different game, right? The client listening to you means they're not thinking about you, they're thinking about something else. Yeah. Usually that's the case because they're bored, yeah. It demonstrates your expertise, because the only way you can ask the right questions and ask the question about the answers is by being good at what you do and knowing your content and knowing your subject. And again, clients want to deal with subject matter experts now. It helps the client to understand what you're saying, yeah, right? So they think, but they also start to understand and they start to make decisions without you even saying anything. I mean, it's Socratic learning. Yeah? So, and then it helps you understand them. Because again, as the amount of times, I mean, think of the logic. If I pull out a deck and I spend I had someone the other day did a pitch for me for 20 minutes within 5 minutes of a meeting, and I couldn't stop the person doing it. Yeah. And basically she didn't know anything about what I was doing. I mean, she knew nothing, right? You know, and it was completely out of context and wasted 20 minutes of my time. Yeah. And I didn't say anything, right? But it was boring, yeah. So, you know, so I want you to think about each meeting, yeah, right? You know, the introductory meeting is about rapport and asking understanding questions. It's about what have they done in the past? What have they done in the present? But there's a difference in the flow between a rapport, okay, and the understanding. But the understanding questions are not discovery questions. When you look at discovery questions, they're technical, right? You know, they rotate around understanding technically what the business has done. And usually they're on an NDA, a non-disclosure agreement. From there, the verification questions are, you know, are you on the same page? You know, how can we improve what we're talking about here? What have we missed? Yeah, right. You know, or a tailored demo, which as you go through the demo, you're saying, does this make sense? Yeah, right. How would you use that? Where does this sit? Yeah. And, you know, when you look at really, and I use software as an example, when you look at very, very high quality software sales, they're not allowed to do a demo until one meeting before proposal. Yeah. So, that's the model. Yeah. Right. And we know that works. We know statistically the ratios jump from 1 in 10 to 1 in 3. Yeah. So, and then finally, the proposal meeting. So that alignment of expectations. It's much better to sit and have that pre-proposal meeting and make sure you're on the same page. Ask, the question, right? What are your thoughts? And the client goes, well, actually, you missed this. And you go back, you do it. Now, not only is the proposal adjusted to what the client said, but the client's also going, oh, that's really great. You're listening to me, right? You've asked the right question and you've adjusted it. Yeah. So examples of questions. Have you eaten yet, Jaron? That's the question you asked Singapore, isn't it? Yeah. Right. So you give me that's what you say in Scotland. The weather, I said the weather. I asked about the weather when we started, and everybody was laughing and chatting about it, right? But then we lead into past, present, future questions, and I think these are really critical because these are questions that just help us understand where the client was, what they're doing now, and what their plans are as they move forward. So, how are you doing lead gen at the moment? Yeah, right. What methods have you used to manage your database in the past? Yeah, right. What's your ideal scenario for CRM in the future? Yeah, right. These questions these are not linked, right? I wouldn't ask these in order like that, but I would want to understand what does good look like in lead gen, but I want to understand what they've been doing before. From here, you want to look at what metrics are you tracking. So this is an example again in a discovery meeting. You'll look how technical this is. Yeah. What metrics do you track in your sales team? See, I'm specific. Yeah. They can't tell me that unless there's a relationship there of trust. Yeah. How many contacts do you have in your database? Yeah. How are your contacts categorized? What CRM? See, I'm able to ask technical, deep questions that are built around a structure. Now, these are just examples. I'm not saying you would do this. Yeah. But they're examples of the type and the style of question more than anything else. And then finally, in a collaboration meeting, based on the challenges that I've highlighted, what are your thoughts? So I've gone through the challenges. What do you think, Mr. Client? Yeah, right. Based on the demo that I'm showing in this section here, what's your thought? Yeah. How would you use that? See, we're engaging, we're collaborating. Yeah? So where now? Like process versus mindset. It's not enough to have process, right? Like the bottom line here is you need both things. Yeah. What I find interesting is most businesses don't have a model that sits around a framework, a set of tactics, a structure, methods. They don't have that. Yeah. So we're all thinking, how do we get that? But actually, there's an even more critical piece there. You've got to think of the mindset of your reps or you as a rep. When you're in there with a client, how you think is really, really critical. How you see the client, and I come at transactional from two concepts. One is transactional versus client-centric. Is it all about us making the sale? And then what causes transactionalism is insecure, right? If someone's insecure because they're scared of losing the deal, they become transactional and they rush and snatch at things, yeah? And their engagement's wrong, yeah, right? There's also this issue that people need to be right, yeah, as they navigate through a sales cycle, especially at the end, whereas actually I want to be corrected by the client. Yeah? The client says, look, you've got this wrong. You missed the point here. I'm like, tell me a little bit more. I really want to understand this. Yeah. Okay. And then our goal is to help them get to the answers, not to tell them the answers. Yeah. Right. We do have a psychological sort of like a psychologist in that journey, and so on and so forth. So that's my thoughts around questioning. Anybody got any questions? Questioning.